All right. We are live now. So this is Indie Talk with Jesse and Jeryn featuring the former valet of Crixus or AWF's Crixus, Ash Garry. So how's it going, Ash?
It's going. Uh, been thoroughly enjoying this nonsensical weather.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, Minnesota weather is always weird, but I think this year is a lot more weird than other years, and that's saying something about Minnesota. So. hmm Yeah, it is. It is something though. Uh, but yeah, I'll get into it. Where's my questions again? Um, oh, there we go. So, talk about how you got into watching wrestling. Like, where did that inspiration come from?
That actually came from my grandfather. He had um AWA tapes, so I started
hmm
watching um older Minnesota wrestling, and then the first wrestling promotion that I saw on television was actually TNA.
Oh
So I
yeah.
can credit Alex Shelley as the first
hmm
wrestler I ever saw that was current.
hmm
Um,
Huh.
and then I became friends with a few local guys on Twitter and started going to those shows. And that's actually how I got started in wrestling, was Twitter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean Alex Shelley definitely an awesome wrestler. I know he still wrestles occasionally, and I haven't heard too much about him for a while. But awesome wrestler, awesome in TNA with or what do they call it? The
Motor City Machine Guns.
yeah, the Motor City Machine Guns with I'm forgetting. Why am I forgetting these names? Yeah, he had a
Chris
Everyone
tag.
forgets
Saban.
Chris Sabin.
He's
Chris
the
Sabin,
forgotten
yeah,
one.
yeah, Chris Sabin was doing some stuff a few years ago that I know, but yeah, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, Motor City Machine Guns, and TNA. I watched, or a few years ago, I bought some of their TNA DVDs and watched their stuff, and that was the first time that I saw them. I'm like, wow, that's a great team, and I wonder what they're doing today, and they're still doing some stuff, and I mean, we're a great tag team, and now I think they're doing individual stuff, but yeah, awesome wrestlers. I think ROH originals too. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then yeah, you said you got into or into the independency by through Twitter. Just were people just finding you somehow, or just were you commenting about
I got
wrestling?
contacted by a promoter to do ring
Oh,
announcing.
oh,
Um,
okay.
Unfortunately, I only worked there for a year because he ended up passing away.
Mm.
Oh,
But
mm.
um, that's how I kind of got started working shows, was being a fresh 17-year-old ring announcer.
Hmm, yeah. That's about the same time I started getting into. I mean, just watching independent wrestling. So it's pretty interesting to hear. So, or I mean that the age group. So yeah, it
Yeah, I
was.
was freshly 17. I had just turned 17 that Wednesday
Mm. Oh, okay.
when
Yeah,
I started
yeah.
working.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely an interesting period. I think well, I got into it. Apparently, uh, there was a thrift store in Lonsdale. Bought a bunch of wrestling DVD or WWE wrestling DVDs there, and she's like, "Hey, there's like a wrestling show coming up in I think New Market." I'm like, "Oh, and there's a show," and then she's like, "Yeah, independent wrestling," and then went to that around 17 years old, and then now years later just kept going. So yeah. Yeah. All right. I'll let you go, Jesse.
All right. So I've actually seen you at a couple of wrestling shows, and a couple of the fans have kind of conversated with you. And after talking with some of them fans, they were just so glad to talk with you because a lot of them said she is real knowledgeable at what she's talking about. And I have to agree with them. I think you're very knowledgeable, and I've been talking to other people, and they've said the same thing about you too.
Mhm.
Yeah, wrestling was kind of what got me through middle school and high school, so I started to
Yeah.
pick up on a lot of things.
Yeah.
One of my friends, one of the guys that I've actually worked with, joked the only reason I can't wrestle is because I'm too damn tiny.
Mm. I mean,
I can't support my head. So it's the only reason I don't wrestle. Otherwise, I actually one time before a show was chain wrestling with the guys, and they were like, they were a lot of them were shocked before even teaching me how to do certain holds that I could figure them out just by watching.
Mm-hmm.
hmm. Wow, it's taking it to the wrestlers right there. Oh.
I love them. They're the closest thing to brothers that I've got. And
Mhm.
they've been huge supporters of whatever I do.
Mhm. Yeah. I've got become friends with kind of a lot of wrestlers within the recent years, and probably the two favorite ones would probably have to be Rampage Santana and the System. I see them at
I
every
love
show, and
them.
it's like, yeah, they
Rampage
just,
is like that brother I never asked for,
hmm
but got anyways.
yeah.
And System
Well, dude.
actually was the reason I started working for AWF.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Yep.
You're- You guys were just talking back and forth about something, and then you guys came to an agreement about AWF, or
He is the reason I started doing sound for AWF because he needed someone to back him up while he was wrestling. So he was like, "Hey, you know how a laptop works. I'm going to show you how to do sound." And I was like,
hmm.
I mean, okay.
We'll just figure it out.
Pretty
Hmm.
much. I can totally have X-ray vision and see through fans because they love to stand in front of the sound table.
Mhm.
And you ask them to move, and sometimes they're great, and other times they're just staring at you, and it's like, okay, I'm working, you're not.
Move it.
Move.
On over there. hmm
Go
Yeah.
find a bleacher spot.
Yeah. This is not free seating over here. Yeah.
No, it's not working. And I get in trouble. So it's like,
Oh no.
okay, either move or you
Mhm.
can tell me when the ref calls for the bell.
Yeah.
And you can tell me who won. Because
Yep.
I don't know.
hmm Yeah. You want to move or be moved, kid? Get out of here.
Pretty
hmm
much.
hmm Yeah. I haven't seen much of that, but I mean, kids are kids; they'll do anything.
It's
So,
not even the
yeah.
kids. Kids are great. I
Also,
can see over children. Children are short. It's
yeah,
the
that's true.
adults.
Oh, they still. Oh boy. Hmm.
They don't
Yeah.
look behind them.
They don't.
If you ask
There's-
to move, they're great. An adult will start cussing you out.
oh,
I've had
wow.
to get
Yep.
wrestlers to move people before. And it's like, I don't
Hmm.
want to do that. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
No.
fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it does make more sense for adults because I mean, they'll definitely be more hard to deal with at events because I've seen a lot of crazy people at events, and they're pretty stubborn too.
We've AWF shows, we've actually had people try to get in the ring
Oh boy,
and
like
fight
those.
the wrestlers. We had one lady at a show in Motley actually threaten Nick Nelson.
oh, oh,
Poor
huh.
Nick.
Poor Nick. He's just trying to wrestle, guys, and he's
Yeah, she was.
no.
She had to have been drunk.
Yeah.
But
hmm
we've
What?
actually had people get in the ring. We've actually had to have Crixus physically remove them
Oh,
from rings before. Because why
oh,
not?
because why not?
Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
best option. He's big.
He is a
He's a
big
big
dude.
guy. He's not gonna back down.
Yeah, yeah,
For sure.
yeah, yeah. I've been to like under the big top shows, the Mitch Paradise promotion, and they well, I haven't seen anybody go in the ring, but yeah, they're just like yelling and cursing, and security's over there. Just calm down, dude. It's just wrestling.
Mhm.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, not everyone gets it though. It's real. It's real. Especially when they're drinking a little bit too much too. So yeah, yeah. I've it's really only been those shows, but I mean any bar events that's gonna happen. So yeah. hmm Um. Who did you enjoy talking with the most at independent shows?
I would honestly have to say Jacob Savage.
Oh.
He
Hmm.
was just on our show. When was it? Friday night?
Uh. Yeah. Last Friday. Yep.
Yeah.
We're talking to Mr. Jacob Savage, the Savage Nation himself. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
him. As far as any big names that I've talked to, Raven was an absolute joy to talk to. I met him at a show and he ended up talking me through a panic attack because of an AJ Styles spot that I think Crixus actually talked about with the pineapple,
Yep.
Hmm.
Where he was
where
holding
AJ
AJ
got
up
cracked
and
upside the head.
Sterling threw the pineapple.
Yeah.
going through the yeah.
That did not go well for my mental health
Mm, yeah.
because at
Yeah.
the time I actually had a crush on AJ.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that was not a fun night.
Yeah.
Then you had good old Raven there.
Yeah, get over even. I'd be a little scared if I saw pineapples flying too. So yeah.
Especially
So
when you're watching Crixus and Sterling go, oh crud. And AJ just dropped.
oh god. mm, yeah. Yeah, that would not be fun to watch. Well, I guess fun, but not also not fun
No,
in terms of
especially when
safety.
you're not told ahead of time.
You're not, yeah, that's true. hmm
They kind of neglected to tell me there was going to be a pineapple involved in the battle royal.
Oh, shame on them.
Oh, shame on them, Tony.
I don't even think Tony knew because his facial expression was pretty much mirroring mine of,
oh.
oh, this isn't going to end well.
hmm Oh man, yeah, that is definitely something. Uh, yeah, I guess speaking of Sterling Bond and pineapples, what was it like watching the Zero Symphony?
Oh, I was a huge fan of Zero Sympathy. I wanted to work with them, but they already had Sterling's girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
So I was kind of bummed about that. But I would have, like, I loved them. It was more of, I'm a fan of them individually. So getting to watch them as a group was, like, a ton of fun until they were beating up AJ.
hmm
Because I had a crush on AJ for a good 2 years. So that was a long 2 years of just watching him get beat up.
Yeah.
Crixus actually knew about it.
Oh.
So I think he kind of targeted him a little extra if I was at a show just to watch my facial expressions. Because that man he loved messing with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I actually still have the Zero Sympathy shirt that System gave me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen that shirt. Their
Yeah.
shirt. I think I saw it on social media. It looks like a cool shirt, just with the,
It
I guess the jersey vibes. So.
it is so comfortable. It's like wearing a baseball jersey. It is
Mm-hmm.
insanely comfortable. Like well worth, I think, the like $40 they were charging per shirt.
Oh man, it definitely is worth it for a jersey though. So yeah, yeah, I've been learning more about AWF history a lot through Jesse, and he told me that System, Sterling Bond, and Crixus were a team. I'm like, oh, that would have been interesting to see back in the day, and
They
I've
were
seen some of
really
their.
good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it definitely looked cool to see. And this, I mean, hear about. We were able to hear about 2/3 of the symphony together. We had them on the show, and they were talking about their memories and their hatred a little bit. Yeah, since they broke up. Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
Sterling
Yeah,
always
that
slept.
breakup was messier than mine.
Mm. Oh man,
Yeah,
was that bad? Huh?
No, it wasn't too bad, but when there's a child involved, it makes things a little difficult.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Children, scary creatures. No. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'll let you go, Jesse.
All right, we got a comment. Jonathan Shelton, the show can start now. I don't know where you've been, Jonathan, but the show's been going for over 17 minutes. So thanks for
Yeah.
the comment. So
Where have you?
where have you been, Jonathan? So who's the
Mhm.
biggest goofball in the AWF?
Crixus.
Mhm.
I'd have to agree with that one. He just seems like he's a ball of fun.
He is an absolute ball of joy to be around. You put him and BJ Seastrom together,
Mhm.
it's you're bound to have. It's gonna be a fun time.
Hmm.
I've watched that man devour about 16 miniature cupcakes in the span of 5 minutes before.
Oh,
Oh.
jeez.
Oh. Huh.
Because I used to make miniature cupcakes for the guys, and he devoured a good 3/4 of the cupcakes I made once.
Mhm. Dang.
Yeah, in the span of about 6 minutes.
Oh, jeez.
Seems like a guy that could do it. He's up for the
But if you
challenge.
ever get him to start singing, if you get him to start singing, it is the greatest thing ever.
Oh, goodness. Man, I can't imagine Crixus singing. Man, I would.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good at singing. Just don't get him to rap.
Yeah,
I had to sit
yeah.
through it one time because I rode in the car with him and just never again. Crixus, if you're watching this, don't do it ever again, please.
Oh man, poor Crixus. Yeah.
Getting picked on.
He's another
Yeah.
one where it's like he's a brother I never asked for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He seems like a good dude. I think I've only recently started hearing about him, and then we had him on the show twice. But yeah, he seems like a good guy though, and good wrestler. And he's only been doing it for maybe 3 years now. So yeah,
That
is,
seems
is
about
it maybe?
right. About 3 years, maybe.
Yeah, he's been doing it for
Yeah.
about 4 or 5 years actually.
Oh, 4 or 5. Okay. Yeah, I was doing it based off his social media. It looked like 2019,
Yeah,
but
his
yeah, maybe.
social media skills are not the greatest, but he's been doing it. 'Cause I managed him in 2018, and
Oh,
he'd been going
okay.
for about a year at that point.
Oh, okay. Huh. Okay. Yeah, he needs to post some more pictures of his new beard. He hasn't shown it yet. I'm like, you got a good beard to show off, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got
yeah,
huge. He's really developed. He's developing even more into that the gladiator look now. So it looks insane, especially when you're a
It
jack
fits
dude and you got
him.
beard like that.
yeah.
Hmm.
He is absolutely jacked.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, looking at him on camera, I wouldn't think he was, but then you have to look at a picture and like, oh yeah, he's big.
Yeah,
And to call
yeah.
yourself a gladiator,
He's a big boy.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Seeing
yeah.
him live doesn't seeing him live doesn't do nothing for those pictures. I mean, he's pretty big. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
muscular.
Yeah.
I mean, he has all the tools. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Before you mentioned talking with Raven, and I was looking through, and in 2015, you were able to meet Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. What were they like?
Absolute dolls.
Mm-hmm.
I had done drawings of them a couple of times. So the second time that I gave it to him, because I had done a drawing for them, and they played rock paper scissors on who got to keep the original copy.
Hmm.
But Bobby Fish actually is one of my favorite wrestlers. I looked up to him as far as when I did think I was going to be able to wrestle, of what style I wanted to be like him a lot. And when I told him that, he kind of brushed it off a little bit. But Kyle was kind of like, "Dude, you got people that look up to you." But meeting them was probably one of the greatest things ever. I can't say enough good words about either of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think I've seen interviews outside wrestling or maybe videos or something, but yeah, it seemed like just good dudes outside the wrestling business. And before, I really only just saw them in the ring and their character, and I mean they were heel in NXT and doing the Undisputed Era stuff. But then when you look more into it, it seems like they're good guys, but also probably the best wrestlers in the world and best tag team together. So yeah, yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'll let you go, Jesse.
You also met Adam Cole too, correct?
Correct.
Oh.
What was he like? I mean, I hear
I
stories
met
about him.
him. Hmm?
I've heard stories about how Adam Cole is, and it just seems like talking to people about Adam Cole, it just seems like he's down to earth, loves the people, and
Very.
just yeah.
I did a drawing of him as well. And at the after party after that show, I got separated from my mom,
Hmm.
so I couldn't find her. And I walked over to Adam because he was the only one there that I had already met. I was like, "Hey, I need help. I cannot find my mom, and there's a bunch of drunk dudes here who are kind of eyeing me up like a fishball." And I'm like, "I'm underage. I don't belong here. I don't want to be here anymore. Please help me find my mom." And Adam actually kind of walked away from the rest of the guys and helped me find my mom. And he was like, "You guys get home safe. Get her out of here. It's getting too much. It's not safe for her anymore here." So he actually helped me find my mom and get me out of a potentially not so great situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect way to describe Adam Cole right there. Just that story, and he does. I've seen interviews. He is a good guy in general. So yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah. So later last year, around I believe September, Midwest pro wrestler Pete Huge unfortunately passed away. What were your memories of him?
Oh God, I used to hang out with him after shows at his apartment and watch Mystery Science Theater 3K or MST 3K, and just he was a great dude. His death really hit a lot of us very hard. I remember at the show, the first show after he had passed, a good half of the crowd was just crying when they played the Drunk Squad theme song. And when Scott Story won the title, it really hit home to a lot of us that Pete wasn't there to celebrate with him. And so a lot of us were probably ugly crying. I'll admit I had mascara running down my face because I was crying. And it just, he was a great guy. He stuck up for me a lot with different guys, and he made sure that I knew that no matter what position I held in a company, to kind of hold my ground, hold my value. And he was a big influence in me staying in wrestling.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I really wish that I got to see Pete Huge in person. He was always in, I mean, the AWF territory, and I didn't know about it when he was wrestling. And he just, like you said, definitely would be a cool guy to see and hang out with, and I mean, see him wrestle too. So, yeah. All right, I'll let you go, Jesse.
All right. So since we are talking about passings, what was your emotions like when you first heard the news of Scott Hall's passing?
When Scott Hall passed, honestly, it was kind of one of those, I was ready for it. I had heard he was in the hospital, and I didn't grow up with DX. I didn't grow up with the WCW whole thing.
Right.
So it didn't really hit hard for me as it did a lot of other people.
Right.
I mean, of course, my heart went out to his family and his friends, but it didn't really hit anything with me. I mean, yeah, I was a fan of his, but that's really about where I stand with a lot of the big names that have passed.
Yeah.
Kind of one of those, I didn't grow up with them. I don't feel like I should mourn them as hard as like their hardcore grew up with them fans do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of in the same place. I mean, in terms, I could have taken it hard just because, I mean, NWO, it wasn't, I mean, incredibly that long ago. It's not like before Four Horsemen or anything, but I think just in terms of NWO, it's, I mean, sad that the original member is gone, but I don't know. I mean, he's a great wrestler, but I think it would have, for other generations, it was more, uh, or hurt more other older generations more. So, yeah. I mean, Scott Hall is Scott Hall. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Uh, what do you think makes indie wrestling special?
Definitely the connection to the fans. I know a lot of the guys try so hard to keep that connection and keep that enjoyment going, where there's that sense of family a lot more than you see in the bigger companies, especially with AEW and WWE going to war, and that whole, well, not war, but the fans being as clingy to their companies as you see. Whereas in independent wrestling, there's a lot more of, oh, you like this wrestler? Well, I think you'll like this guy. Or, oh, you like this company? Well, maybe you should try this company. They're a lot similar. Things like that, where there's a lot more family and love and connection between the fans and the wrestlers.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, I don't even think that. I mean, I don't think the war really started with wrestlers. I think it was just fans thinking that like Vince and Tony Khan hate each other, and then they use their angry images and then they put it on a story on an Instagram post like they're probably angry at each other. There's a war, and I mean AJ Styles said, I mean, he's got friends in AEW, so I mean, it's not a war
Yeah.
between the wrestlers; it's more the fans. And I mean, I do. probably prefer. I mean, now AEW more than WWE, but it's not like a weird loyalty or wanting one to fail or anything. It's just that AEW has been better in terms of storylines and yeah, I guess storylines. So yeah, and then
Yeah.
yeah, independent wrestling has just been family, and I mean, if you have a favorite star, you can go and watch them in so many different companies, and then they wrestle those companies' guys, and then it just keeps building and building. So yeah. All right, I'll let you go, Jesse.
All right. So, what is your favorite company to have ever worked for?
That's a hard one because I've actually only really technically worked for one.
Mhm.
Mm.
I mean, I worked for two, but I can't really say MEW. I mean, I can, but they're not a
Mm.
thing anymore.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
Because I've only ever worked for MEW with Kurt and before his passing. But after that I really only technically worked for AWF. But
Mm.
in general, as far as like working ring crew and doing camera and stuff, I'd honestly have to say Midwest All Star.
Mhm.
I absolutely love that group of guys. The promoters are great. They're really good at communicating. I want to work with them more. I would love to work a show with them, managing, valeting. Sager's lost his voice. I'll take over for him. It's not like I haven't done it before.
Mm.
I would love to steal Sager's spot every once
Mm.
in a while just to spice things up a bit. But I love every company I've ever worked for. Each one is so different and so special to me in one way or another. MEW being the first company I ever worked for. AWF getting to manage, honestly, at the time, one of my best friends. And then MAW giving me the opportunity to meet Raven and to meet, or not, yeah, getting to meet Raven through AWF. That was one of my biggest memories. Where MAW has gotten me to meet Chicago guys and all sorts of amazing legends. So it's kind of one of those, I don't really have a favorite. It's really dependent on like how I feel on a given day. Depends on who my favorite
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
Yeah. 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 I mean, from those companies, I've just been mainly an MAW guy, just because I knew about them first. It was more the MAW, SDW, and then now it's just gone into the I guess Ironheart Pro Wrestling, Below Zero, and Time Bomb, since I'm in the Fargo Moorhead area. So it's just cool to hear about different companies. And I mean, yeah, I think you could take over for Brian for a little bit. So, yeah.
I would actually like to see that because Brian talks way too much, and that guy gives me a headache just
He gives
listening
you
to him.
yeah.
No, I love Sager. He's like a dad to me. But I would love, even for one match, just to take over, just to do it one more time.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, just being ringside or being a crowd member is fun, but then yeah, just actually being at ringside and stuff, that would be awesome. And I mean, stepping in the ring too, is doing some stuff, so like announcing. So yeah. All right, Jesse.
So now that the system is in MAW, has he contacted you and said, "Hey, why don't you come and join us here?"
I don't really have a whole lot of contact with a lot of the guys. Which is, I mean, I'm friends with him on Facebook, but that man is terrible at checking his Facebook messages.
Oh, for sure. Yep, I can
You can
contest to
attest to
that.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is. I mean, I would love to actually work with the system. That's one of my biggest dreams, to get to work a match with the system in some way, either with him or against him.
Mhm.
But no, I would absolutely love to work with him again.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah. Yeah, Jesse and I know pretty much everything there is to know about Mr. The System within these past few years, and I see him everywhere. I saw him at Rudo's Promotions, a lucha company. I'm like, you're not. I didn't even see you. I didn't even know you're gonna be here. I'm like, he just goes everywhere. So I think, yeah, what was it? Yeah, it was my friend and I were walking up to the building, and we turned around or turned to the parking lot area, and Systems like, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" I'm like, "What the hell?"
What are you doing
Yeah,
there?
you know here. And then of course, System and Rampage had another battle, so it was more of like just a battle. Like they came out, or no, the System was running away from Rampage, and then they started battling, and then it turned into an actual match, and then System won by using the ropes. So yeah, I think that battle is going to keep going on for a few more events for sure. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. hmm Uh, what else? Yeah, so I have a list of wrestlers, and I just wanted to get your original thoughts on them. So, first, Billy Blaze. Old
I
school.
don't know him too terribly well, but
Oh,
it's always a treat when you see him. Always a
mm,
treat.
yeah. I haven't seen him for years. I saw him maybe first two events, and then I was like, he just went. I'm like, I wish I would have seen him more because he was a good heel at those events. So, yeah. Uh, Tyler Colton.
I actually won a photography contest using a picture of him.
Mm.
That I had taken.
Hmm.
He's an odd one. I have my moments of wanting to strangle him because of some comments that he'll make, especially in regards to like mental health and physical appearance and stuff. But all in all, I mean, when he's feeling up to it, he's an absolute doll, and I love him.
Hmm. Does he have like bad comments or just interesting
He just
point of
had some
views?
comments that were a little misinformed, and I would message him and be like, "Hey, here's how this comment can be viewed," and he'll be like, "Oh, okay," and he'll change it up a bit to kind of make it a little bit more like accurate to how he's thinking, or a little more whatever. He's not a bad guy. He's a little misinformed sometimes, and he takes the time to learn, and which is always good.
Mhm.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Uh, Xander Killen.
Oh, how I love him.
Hmm.
Um, I don't see him too often, which is a little annoying because I absolutely love watching him wrestle. He is one of my absolute favorites right now. Um, Great guy, and seems to really enjoy what he does, which is always nice to see.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You have to. I think the only times I've seen Xander is at Ironheart Pro Wrestling. I believe he's the Ironheart champion right now. So, and uh, I think a few events ago in was it Rosemont? I think Rosemont, Minnesota. He faced the good old boy, the System, for the Ironheart Pro Wrestling Championship, and it ended, I believe, some disqualification happened, and then they fought, and then System got out of there somehow, and then Xander attacked the Ironheart commissioner, like did
Yep, he got
like a
arrested.
you remember? Yeah, yeah,
Yep, I
yeah.
was
He got
there.
arrested. Oh, you were there. Oh, man. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that looked like an interesting segment right there. I'm like, I mean, you see it on WWE all the time, but to see it in person, I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, doing a get arrested angle. So yeah, uh, Danny Duggan.
My Canadian older brother. Um, he's actually one of the wrestlers that I've known the longest. I've known him since 2016. Absolutely love him. He's him and his whole family are just great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I first saw him in 2017, and he's great wrestler, and I think he's come back to the States after doing his CWE thing full time. So it's awesome to see where he's going with that, and I hope to see him in person again too. So yeah, and then lastly for the name thing right there, Eric Cannon.
Oof.
Yeah.
He runs one of my favorite promotions, and he's the reason I had some of the greatest birthday parties ever. Well, okay. The rest of the crowd and the roster didn't know they were at a birthday party, but I did. So I celebrated my 19th birthday and my 20th birthday at First Wrestling at WrestlePalooza's.
Oh, it's a good way to spend it. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to a first wrestling once. It was in December. It was the big tag team match that they had was Davari and Nice versus Dante Martin and Alex Zane, and that was just an awesome tag team main event right there. So yeah, they definitely have something good, and I hope to see more first events in the future. And they've been releasing a lot of new events already. They got some in June already, so yeah, might have to check those out sometime. Uh, and then, oh yeah, back to Danny Duggan. Pete King of All Out Pro Wrestling says Danny Duggan is the number one contender for the APW championships. So that'll be interesting to see if he can win that in Wisconsin, or I think, yeah, it'll probably be in Wisconsin. So yeah. All right. I'll let you go, Jesse.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you about a few wrestlers there. TV Brown. She's laughing.
Great guy to watch wrestle. Interesting guy to work for. Because technically, so when I worked for AWF, it went my boss, which was System, and then my boss's boss, which was PD, and then the boss's boss's boss, which was Tony. So having that like hierarchy of guys that you're working for was always entertaining. You never knew who was going to tell you to do what.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kyle Pro.
Yeah. Kyle. He's actually one of my favorite people. He got me through autism testing because as a lot of people know, he's autistic. And so I went to him a lot while I was going through the testing myself. And he actually, the first night I met him, I got dumped on him to give me a ride home. So this man drove an hour and a half out of his way to drop me off at home after a show after my ride ditched me.
Oh.
Wow. Oh man.
Well, at least Kyle was there for you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I would have been screwed.
Yeah, great dude, Kyle. So, yeah.
All right. One last name for you. Crixus.
Oh my god, I love him. As a lot of people know, or some people might know, I managed him once. And he fought really hard to get me on another show. He tried his best we promised new ring gear. We promised better character. We did everything we could, and unfortunately, it didn't work. But just a great guy. He really knows what he's doing. I'm really excited for him to hold a title. I think he'd make a really good main champion for a company one day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. You might have to go after Bill Williams now, since they're in the AWF and he's the champion. So I think that might be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm
Unless
talking about going after
Kyle-
the system too.
they go, yeah.
He's been talking about it, but I don't know if it'll happen. We'll have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh man. What are your most favorite venues to work at, like, or towns?
Schools. I
Schools?
love working school shows.
Mm.
Mainly because you always get that fired up crowd. You get
Mhm.
the kids, and they're all excited, and they're all excited to meet the guys, and I love working school shows.
Mhm.
For any, I love going to school shows. It's anytime that there's a large group of kids, you know it's gonna be a fun show.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, kids are pretty much the entire life of the wrestling crowd, and everyone's always gonna go with the kids and see what they're chanting, and then they'll probably let the channel keep going, and yeah, kids are super loud at the events and they get into it. So yeah. And I don't think I've actually been to a school wrestling yet, but I mean, I've been into the auditorium or the gym auditoriums, but I don't think sometime I got to get over to the AWF and watch a show, because I still haven't watched the in-person AWF show yet. So definitely something to do, probably, hopefully over the summer. So yeah. Uh, sh- what else? Are there other promotions that you have been in contact with over the years? Uh, I guess besides the
Working
ones you
wise, no, but I've gotten
mentioned.
really into Magnum Pro down in Omaha.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
And if I ever do work another show and do get back to where I was, I would absolutely die if I got to work a Magnum show in any capacity. I would be happy to set up ring crew for Magnum. Just anything to be able to work with Jason Strife.
Mhm.
I would, yeah, I would love to work with Jason.
Mhm. Yeah. I've heard a lot of good things, and then I think I've seen maybe one or two shows with Jason Strife, and he's a great wrestler. He definitely knows what he's doing, and I mean, he's a veteran of the games, so he's been in for, I don't know, it's been years now, since almost, or early 2000s. I know he faced Seth Rollins in a match that I found on YouTube. So yeah, great wrestler and veteran of the games. So yeah. Jesse.
All I have is about one more question. So what are your feelings on Tony DiNucci?
We're hitting the tough questions here.
Oh.
He's a good boss when he likes you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If he doesn't like you, he makes his feelings known. And it can be a tricky work environment to be in. We ran into some issues with him, and while I was working for him, which led to me no longer working for him. But all in all, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to run a business. But he has rubbed a few people the wrong way, and he has burned a few bridges. But he's got his loyal fans. He knows how to work the crowd. He knows how to work
Yeah.
fans. He knows what he's doing. He's a
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. He has been running the AWF. I think what is it, 15 years or something like that.
Sounds about
Yeah,
right.
Something like that.
yeah, and yeah, I guess he is who he is, but yeah, but yeah, he's definitely got the fan base. He's going to the high schools and doing the events, and it seems to be going pretty good. So yeah, all right, but yeah, I think. Well, actually, I was looking through. What was it like? Or were you able to have a conversation with Nick Dinsmore, Eugene?
I was not able to have a full conversation with him just because he was so popular with the guys, but he's
Mm-hmm.
definitely an interesting human being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To say the
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. I've got to see him once. It was in September for Below Zero Wrestling in Fargo, North Dakota. I'm like, dang, I get to see
That is
Eugene.
one company. I'll have to hitch a ride with you because I want to get to one of those shows.
Mm, yeah, yeah. They have been pretty successful, and Mr. Nick Stokey has definitely been doing a good job. He's had Eric Redbeard on the show before, and he's a bunch of great talents. And yeah, just sitting in the Sanctuary Event Center is just awesome to be in. It's probably the best venue I've been in. I mean, there's so many good ones, but it probably is a big favorite. So yeah. And then also Time Bomb Wrestling runs in there too, so I get to see it. I've seen it a lot now, so yeah. But yeah, I think yeah, I just wanted to get your take on Eugene, and then uh, I want to have one more question. Oh yeah, yeah. Speaking of venues and stuff, one I think that holds true to my heart is the Richmond or not Rich, the Richfield Legion. I've went there in Steel Domain a few years ago. What was it like being in there?
It's a great venue.
Hmm.
The staff there are incredible. It's a great venue for wrestling shows. It's a great venue for sound. It's overall it's a really good venue. The staff's really they genuinely seem to like having the shows there, which is always nice to have staff that enjoys the shows.
Hmm.
They're it's it was definitely it's a good venue.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think it's just in general it is special because I think it was probably like the second venue I saw after the under the Big Top New Market Bar Legions. So I think just yeah, I saw Steel the Main there for it was only a brief period. I think it was like 2017 to 2019, and then they moved to the Bloomington Legions. So yeah, but yeah, it's just yeah, going in for the Steel the Main events was just always awesome to be there. And yeah, that was the venue I got to see Sean Devari and Arya's older brothers. So that was really cool to see. So yeah, but yeah, I think yeah, it was awesome. It was or yeah, I think pretty much wraps up what Jesse and I have. And yeah, it was awesome talking to you. You had a lot of awesome stories that I was intrigued to listen to, and yeah, it's just cool to see another fan. And I mean, you were pretty heavily involved in the wrestling too, so it's just awesome to hear that aspect. So yeah, but yeah, I'll let you
Yeah.
close out, Jesse.
All right. It was very nice of you to give us your time. And Friday night we have Danny Duggan coming on the show.
Hmm. Yeah.
And just hearing your stories about Danny, I would like to personally invite you onto the show to help us interview him.
I have my daughter this weekend, so we'll have to see what time I pick her up.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Just let one of us know and we'll make something happen.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
We would definitely like to have you back on again.
I'd
Mm.
love to be back on.
Alrighty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Thank you for being on, and hope you have a nice night, Ash.
Oh yeah, you guys
Yeah.
too.
All right.
All right. Thank you. All right. Live is ending.